insurance sector. We're going to learn more about it with Cécile WENDLING, Head of Research and Development Foresight for AXA, and Philippe Lanternier, Chief Development Officer at Bureau Veritas. Céline, you're joining me on stage. Cécile, you're joining me on stage. Décidément, c'est formidable ce matin. Philippe, join me too, because actually what we're about to discover together is, again, something really outstanding. We'll see first how disrupted insurance sector is through trust again, and then we'll define together maybe a new label model. But we'll see that in a minute. Cécile first.
Hi everyone. I would like to talk about trust and trust in insurance. People entrust us with a lot of their data today because they need insurance for everything, for their mobility, for their life, for their health, for their pensions. And more, we can connect new types of data. So you're all aware of those telematics program where we collect how you drive, how you speed, to better price your insurance. You might not be aware, but we use a lot of satellite data, for instance, for parametric insurance. So you might be living in Africa, and you're a farmer, or you have crops, and suddenly there is drought. So we can track the level of humidity of the soil with satellite data and make sure that even before you lose everything, you get the right amount of money to protect you. And of course, we can also use a lot of data to enhance prevention. But then is a question, what type of society do we want? Do we really want to be tracked? Do we really want like a big brother paternalistic society? Or do we rather prefer to be empowered, have personalized services, but be in control of what we do and how the data is used? So we really think that today, the issue of trust and the question of balance of what we do with the data should be at the core of our strategy. So what have we done? First of all, we are the first insurance company who have adopted binding corporate rules. So it's a standard regarding personal data for multinational companies. And for us, it's very important because it's not only about being present in France, we are in 63 countries. We thought also we need to really think on this aspect of data privacy, ethics of algorithm, openness of data. So we have created a panel of 10 experts. They're external from AXA, they are former regulators, they are academics, they come from INRIA, they come from philosophy, from law, and they challenge us. So we really show them what do we do with the data in a company and what can we improve? How can we make sure we align the interests of our customer with our interests and the interests of society? As a first consequence of this panel, we have taken a very strong commitment not to sell the personal data of our customer. And this is also a big bet for a company, because as you know, many companies on the financial sectors are on the contrary living from selling personal data of the customer. Then we thought it's not enough, we need to be at the top of it, so we need to promote high-level research on those topics. So we currently have a research project with Sciences Po Media Lab on trust and big data. We have another research project with INRIA on, we work a lot on anonymization of the data, we work a lot on interpretability of the algorithm. Because it's not enough to have a good price, it's very important that you can explain to the sales agent of your company, or even to the client, why does he have such a price? You know, we often hear about black box algorithm. So how can we change this, I would say, data-driven world to a human-centric world when people can really be empowered with their own data and understand what it means? We also finance a very important American researcher called Paul Holm from the University of Colorado. And we think that we need to have a role of mutualization, and we need to be sure that we will not have implicit discrimination in an algorithm when it comes to a customer. We also think that education is very important. Not everyone is aware of what it means to live in a big data society. So therefore, we have a pilot in Germany. This is a webpage, Mein Leben online. So it's about what do you do with your data? Do you know that you actually tracked when you're online and that might impact a credit score? What do you think about that? So it's really engaging the conversation with the customer. A very interesting initiative, which is also the trust program that we've built in AXA UK. Most of the time, people were telling us, well, you know, sometimes the claims are reimbursed, sometimes they're not. We do not really know why. Maybe you're cheating on us or something. So we said, okay, well, let's work towards open data. So let's really explain, for instance, for car insurance, home insurance, travel insurance, how many claims do we actually pay? And for those we did not pay, why? Why did not we pay them? Price. Many people say, well, you know, from years to years, price goes up, but I don't know why, and so on. Okay, let's explain. What is the price? How did it move during the last years? So it was very scary for the company at first. People were saying, are you crazy? You know, it's very dangerous to be so explicit and so on. But on the contrary, we have very positive feedback of the customers. Finally, we're all aware in this room of the General Data Protection Regulation coming up in 2018. And then is a question for many companies, but also for many people. How do I make sure that I can comply to all those rules? And here, you know, for instance, if you're a small company and if you're hacked and the personal data of the customer goes away, you need to notify your customer. Well, this has a cost. Have you prepared that? Maybe you need to be insured for that. So this is also a question of insuring cyber risk and making sure that even a small company will be able, in case of a hacking, to respect all the conditions of this new regulation. So what are the questions left, and what do we think we should still analyze a bit deeper? First of all, this question of open data. We think that there are loads of data sleeping inside big companies that open could serve better the society. For instance, in a company, we know what are the most dangerous roads because we see where we have the most claims. So the question could be, how could we open those data so that a department, a city, a district, when they decide where they fix the road, they could focus on the most dangerous part of the road. Or you, as a customer, decides to avoid this road, which is very dangerous. Ethics of algorithm. This is very important to understand what data goes in, what are the assumptions, and what do I get such a credit score or such a price. And here are lots of debates on how we make sure there is no implicit discrimination, even if it's not a deterministic algorithm, but an algorithm which is learning from itself. Blockchain. Blockchain can change a lot of things when sharing data in a transparent manner in an ecosystem of actors. So we're also experimenting new ways to work with the blockchain. And we work about having a corporate data responsibility. We think that every company has a responsibility when it comes to the use and governance of its data. And finally, labels. Because how can people be sure they can trust you? I mean, you can always say good things on your webpage, but how can they be convinced and be sure that it's actually what you do inside when you open the door of the company and look into, for instance, IT systems or government process when it comes to the data? This is why we started a benchmark of labels, trying to understand what is working at international level, EU level, in France. What does it mean to have a label of data privacy or a label of ethics of algorithm? And I will stop here because I know that you will learn much more now on label.
Thank you so much, Cécile. Of course, stay with us actually for the end of the discussion.